spawning down in the bottom left-hand position as the blue Protoss player. It is none other than Ourk. And his opponent up in the top right, the green Zerg, it's AsTeR. So anyone just joining us now, let me give a quick summary of this series so far. Game number 1, we saw AsTeR go for a Roach, Queen... Game number 1, we saw AsTeR go for a Queen Swarm Host Nidus play on Belshir. He played it really nicely, it worked effectively. Game number 2, Ourk went for some nice DT play, did a bit of damage, not massive, but a good chunk. And then he just followed it up with an Immortal Stalker army. Unfortunately, AsTeR went Roaches and then into Corruptors because he assumed that there would be some Colossi. Didn't scout, didn't see that it was coming down, and therefore a lot of damage was done. And an attempt to switch into Mutalisks wasn't going to work just due to there being 45 Blink Stalkers. So Ourk leveled out the series there, taking it to 1-1. It's a best of 3, so whoever wins this will advance forward into the semi-final. And of course, the winner of today's cup wins themselves a Gamecom 380 headset, and the winner of the league, currently being won by Ourk with 450 points, gets a Gamecom rig headset and 100 Great British Pounds. Pretty good times. Anyway, all in all, we are seeing spawning pool coming down here. Very safe opening. And, well, safe openings are just really the right way to be playing. In a game 3 of an ace game, pool hatch, probably the safest way you can open up against Protoss, especially before you've scouted. And actually a bit of a variation here we're seeing from AsTeR. He's not sending out a drone scout this game. Bear in mind that we saw that previously in game 1 and 2, he scouted very early. But he does have the Overlord making its way across. Yonsu's quite a quick path for the Overlord to make its way, so maybe that's why we're not seeing the drone scout, just instead seeing a nice safe move here. He knows the pylon's coming down. The timing of that pylon says that it's a gateway expand. There's no other reason for it to be coming down that late there. It would have already been finished, and something else on its way should have been a Nexus first or a Forge Fast expand. But all together now, 4 probes in gas just happening, mining away, hatchery coming up, and spawning pool is there. So both players going along what I like to consider pretty much the standard, the safe way of playing things. And yeah, in game 3 of an ace game, you want to take things carefully, unless of course you have got absolute balls of steel, in which case then you'll just do some almighty all-in or cheese, which may just win it for you. You never know. Some people do that, some people are that brave. Nexus though, coming down from Ourk, all looking good. We've got Warp Gate Tech getting quite boosted out, the Mothership Core there. Node still 2 probes in gas. We should see 16th probe come into minerals and then start populating those nice and quick. Meanwhile, back over on the side of AsTeR, he's getting up a gas. That's because he doesn't need to rush out the third due to having an opponent that's going for a gateway expand. Your third base just needs to be out by kind of 6-7 minutes-ish, around that sort of time. So getting that gas up important in order to start up Zergling speed, just to maintain the map control and really stop any proxy pylons from getting placed. Now for the moment we see Ourk adding on 2 additional gateways. Not 3, so it's not going to be some delayed 4-gate pressure unless he makes it up in the main somewhere. Could be going for some tech though, that's what I'm keeping an eye out for. Whether he goes for a Stargate, that's usually quite a common thing to add on with those 2 gateways, is a Stargate following it. Or whether he'll go for something a bit more out there, maybe a robotics facility, potentially even a Twilight Council, is something that could be coming down. Mothership at the moment is going to try and do some poking damage. Managed to knock out a creep tumor that was being constructed. And that may not seem like a worthwhile way to lose a third of the energy, or a third of the health on your Mothership core. But that means that a Queen has to spend another 25 energy. It delays creep spread by a small chunk. It's just a little bit frustrating, to be honest. But as we see now, AsTeR scouting in, unfortunately isn't going to see the fact that the Stargate is coming down. What comes out of this Stargate, that's going to be critically important. It could be Phoenix, could be Voidways, could be a lot of things. But ultimately, we just want to keep a good eye just to know exactly how that's going to be played. Phoenix tend to be going on for a longer period of time. You've pushed back Overlords, they're on the map, you harass. If it's an Oracle, it's dealing damage right there and then. If it's a Voidway, it's more of a longer term plan that I'm going to just get up a lot of Voidways and a very powerful army, but be a bit vulnerable in the mid game. So the Stargate is finishing up. What are we going to get? It's going to be an Oracle again from Ourk. We've seen that previously in the series. Game number 1 on Belshire, we saw the double Oracle come through, but unfortunately they wasn't able to do a huge amount of damage there. Are we going to see AsTeR getting in a good position to defend it? Well, he's got the lair coming down. He's got his third getting started just before the 7-minute mark, only by a second or two though. And just being very active on the map with these Zerglings, so that's all okay. Good defensive position from Ourk. The additional gases being taken have now been seen. But all in all, AsTeR playing somewhat blind. He doesn't really know anything else. He doesn't know what tech's here. And that means that he's got to kind of cover all the bases. And probably one of the safest ways to cover all the bases is get an Overseer down and get a Hydra Den. Roach Hydra plus an Overseer. You're safe at most of the things that an opponent can throw at you in the mid-game. But the Mothership Core, just going to get a nice little bit of scouting information. Going to see that the hatchery has been placed at the 3rd base. Oracle also now been spotted, I do believe, so Spore Crawlers are starting pretty much instantaneously. The Queen needs to be a little bit careful. The Queen can delay the Oracle long enough for the Spores to finish, and the Oracle would have a bit of a tough time trying to kill the Queen. But we'll get a couple of drones, which is always nice, and well, things looking pretty good. All fairly safe there for Ourk. He managed to pull out the Oracle. Fairly good play, all in all, and well, just the +1 missile attack and +1 armor coming down. We've got 3rd hatchery taken all securely. No, the Stargate isn't producing anything else. Just got the 2 Oracles out. The second one was spotted by this Overlord, so knows the more pressure's coming. But the Roach and Hydra Den are coming through, and well, everything looking fairly solid in terms of defending this. Just needs to get some Spore Crawlers down at the 3rd to make that secure, but only if there's going to be some more drones coming through. As long as you just wait a couple of seconds, the Oracles can't really do too much damage. There comes down the Spore Crawlers, so at most 1 drone will die. The natural base is a little exposed just due to the positioning of these spores. The gases could take a lot of damage. The Spore Crawler actually getting focused down here at the 3rd base, and that means some drones are now vulnerable. They're going to just quite quickly try and become Spore Crawlers though. This Spore is about to finish up, so 1 more is going to get taken down, but the Oracles losing most of their energy just dealing with that, so not the most effective use of energy that we've seen there, but still, double Twilight Council coming down. That is very interesting. Blink and Charge theoretically could be on their way. Templar Archives already going down. This could also be a misclick by Ourk, which wouldn't be ideal, but he has selected it, so it's like that he knows it. He knows it's there. Was that intentional? Well, he's not getting Blink yet, and he's got the money for it, so I think no is the answer. I'm not quite sure what he was hoping that was going to be. Maybe a robotics facility. Maybe he misclicked. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, more scouting coming in. Sees, of course, the High Templar. Also, the Templar Archives are on their way through there. Good scout with that Overseer. Oracles just heading on up in towards the main base. We've got the 1-1 upgrades. Nearly finished for AsTeR, who's getting some more Hydralisks out. He's already got 4. The main, quite secure from these Oracles, but there are 3 of them, which means they can do a hell of a load of damage. But unfortunately, with the Hydras coming out, they can also dish out a lot of damage very quickly. Phoenix production getting started up. We've only got 1. Robotics facility now on its way. Note that Ourk is now going to be trying to produce a lot off of just 2 bases. He's going up to 8 gates, and also the Templar Archives, plus as well +1 and Charge. This is a big Charge Lot Archon style play, and he can't really transition out of it too well unless he secures up a 3rd pretty quickly, which remember AsTeR knows isn't there just by having the Lings in a good position. More Roaches are coming out. Hydra Speed and also Road Speed are on their way. Interesting to see Hydra Speed. That's more of an aggressive option as opposed to defensive. But there won't be Storm. That's not getting researched. Purely going to be for Archons at the moment if we see more coming in. A lot of Zealots adding into the mix. But with a good number of Roaches and a good number of Hydras, that's not going to be too effective against them. And well, all in all, are we going to be able to get in a sweet position to see some nice defense coming through by AsTeR, or is Ourk going to be able to push forward? He needs to think about securing up a 3rd unless he's going to be going all in. Hasn't added any High Templar into the mix as of yet. He's also getting a little bit gas starved for the moment, just getting so... There we go, there's some High Templar, so 4 getting warped in there. That's why he also gas starved. I thought that gas was a lot higher earlier. But yeah, Oracle's still trying to find a little window of opportunity. 7 workers have been killed this game, so not a huge number as of yet. We've also got the Spire coming through, as well as the 2-2 upgrades. +2 melee attack, or ground attack rather, for Protoss. Nearly done researching, but 2-2 going to be done for AsTeR shortly for the Zerg ground forces. That's going to give him a small upgrade lead. Ourk will secure up his 3rd Nexus now, but a chain thing going to just pop in and take a quick little peek and know the timing of all of that. So we may see an aggressive play come down now from AsTeR. He's moving in forward with some of these roaches and hydras, but he doesn't have a huge force as of yet. Only 101 army supply to the 88 of Ourk, and he would have had a bit of a tough time trying to make it through past that rock tower, especially with a good concave and the zealots closing up the distance, buffering damage so these archons can really dish it out. But the infestation pit up to a crit hive probably going to be coming down here too. The spire nearly finished. Again though, no colossi have been seen. There isn't even a robotics bay down, so there's no chance of colossus hitting the field. So instead, we're getting down a nice, fast, enduring locust upgrade. Swarm host is going to be hitting the field, and well, getting a nice little chunk of swarm hosts is going to be really effective, because again, there's no storm. Even though there were some high Templar, storm has not been researched at any point. Therefore, there's a very limited amount of splash in the archons, and that means the locust can deal a huge amount of damage. We've got the lair coming down too, so we can get some Viper Swarm Host action coming into the mix. That's going to be strong. Also, the option to go up into Broodlords. Broodlords, Swarm Host, very strong. Very, very, very strong. As well as the 4th base now coming down. Just going to be trying to keep AsTeR a base up on his opponent, although that is a little bit late since Ourk is mining his 3rd. No real attempt for counter aggression to come in here. Both players being incredibly passive. Both losing under 1,000 resources, so just being as cautious as they can. A few more Immortals as well as +3 coming into the mix here. But 2 Oracles is going to try and find an avenue of attack, but good Revelation actually goes down. That's really strong. That gives a good little bit of information of when the army moves out, when it moves in. And it's just going to be providing Ourk with vision more than anything about what's happening, where can I potentially go and deal a little bit of harassment damage. Bear in mind, Enduring Locust has now just finished up. The Swarm Host count already hitting 11. And that's a maxed out AsTeR too. So AsTeR can start positioning those Swarm Hosts in a way they can begin sieging. The Greater Spire coming out ready for Broodlords. But still, no storm getting researched, no sign of any splash damage, no robotics bay, and that leaves me concerned for Ourk in order to deal with the locusts. Wave upon wave of locusts could be coming in imminently if the swarm hosts decide to move forward. So we just got to keep an eye on those, on when they start making their move, their eventual march in towards Ourk's base. With a lot of roaches and hydras as well, damage can be done. The one spore crawler probably not going to help too much in defending against a big oracle push in, but it will be a little bit more effective. Roaches taking out the rocks at the back can be seen by Ourk. Should be able to be seen by Ourk, but he may have to come and defend actually up here as a small little roach hydra force comes in. That pulls him away from these rocks, exposing his natural base. That can be problematic. The roaches need to go in now though for AsTeR if he's going to go for it. But we see Ourk, he's trying to decide where he wants to go, which side he wants to try and defend, and he's actually going up towards his 3rd. That's allowing the roaches in. They can take out a good number of probes pretty quickly, and if Ourk pulls his entire army, that's going to be fairly problematic because it opens up the 3rd base now to a big shove in by the roaches and the hydras. The natural next is already taking a good amount of damage, but Ourk onto the trickery that is going to be occurring, comes back to defend it, hoping that his phone overcharge will do enough, but it won't. Gets taken down. And that means, of course, the Ourk is now back to just 2 mining bases. This main getting pretty low. And Archon was near the front there, gets taken out. The Swarm Hosts need to be getting in the mix. They're just sitting there for the moment, not even burrowed, which is a bit of a problem. Why are the Swarm Hosts not engaging in this fight? That's where they need to be. They're all just clumped up at the moment. Why is AsTeR not using those Swarm Hosts? He has now realized, burrows them up. His 4th base is going to go down though. If they were more forward, he probably could have saved them. But it doesn't matter because AsTeR, he's attacking into the natural base. A couple of zealots getting warped in. The 3rd base though is where a lot of damage is being done. There's a couple of photon cannons, but they're going to absolutely melt to that many hydralisks, especially with those 2-2 upgrades. And if the 3rd Nexus falls, I fear that may be it for Ourk, since he's not going to have any income. He does have some money banked up, but there's just so much stuff here. The Archons going down are very heavy in gas in terms of investment going straight down the pan, and that's really what's being focused. With those Archons now taken out, splash damage is near non-existent, and that means that if these Swarm Hosts were to get more aggressive, it would be exceptionally problematic for Ourk, and that's really what I'm hoping we see AsTeR do now. Just move forward, just trying to deal some damage, and try and put on a bit of pain. But what is he supported with? Well, the answer is Vipers and Corruptors. A good number of Vipers and a good number of Corruptors will really help things. AsTeR probably got enough Swarm Hosts here, does burrow them up just in time. Note Ourk doesn't have an Observer. which is a bit of a problem. And unfortunately, there's a lot of locusts in this mix. That Archon could get taken down if it gets a few more shots. Oh, it only needed literally like a shot or two more. Not getting focused though at the moment, and Immortal taking a good chunk of damage, but well, another Archon very nearly died. Survives literally at 1 HP. The Swarm host trying to get in a better position still. Ourk attempting to move around. Locust gonna go for the complete wraparound surround. Are they going to be able to kill anything though? Mass Recall goes down and Archon falls though in the process. Mass Recall is to the main since that's the only Nexus currently up. And Ourk really feeling the pain from the lack of income. Look at this income difference. The main base was mined out of minerals. Just look at that. No mineral income for Ourk at the moment, and that's where he's getting starved. He's running out of resources, needs these 2 additional Nexi to be operational, and somehow needs to defend them from the very soon to be advancing Locust Swarm. The Viper's there as well, ready to get some abducts down, just pulling units, key high value units into the Locusts, and once they deal some good damage, it could be all over. Ourk trying to go for a counterattack, but he's down to only 46 army supply. His 3rd Nexus once more is going to get taken down. And with that falling, GG is called, and AsTeR is going to advance forward into the semi-final.